Hi folks, and welcome to a complete new style of video that I'm making. This is a podcast deck debate about ELsha of the Infinite, where I and some of my friends sit down and talk a little bit about our viewpoints and what we think about ELsha. Normally I do deck tech videos about commanders and giving some insight and explaining combos, but in this podcast video we're gonna go over a little bit what we think about her, playing against her, and our experience. The reason why I wanted to branch out and do this podcast content is because I wanted people to be able to download and listen to the content and information while they are doing something else, like running or going to work. So in the description below of this video, you will find a link to a place, Bean Pod, where you can download this podcast. I think I'm gonna try to make it possible to download podcast in other apps in the future. But bear with me, I'm a complete beginner at this. I'm good at making other type of YouTube content, but podcast is new for me. Now, when we recorded this, people were sitting home using their own microphones, and that became a little bit of a tricky problem as we got some distortions and echo. So I will have to say in advance, I'm sorry for the terrible audio.
It's time to talk a little bit about ELsha, I think. Pontus, you've been playing ELsha a lot, and I think I've only seen you play ELsha. You've been on some form of ELsha streak.
Yeah, I kind of decided that I wanted to have a main deck that I played instead of like playing every deck that I used to do. So when Elsa got spoiled, I decided to build her, and then I've been on a streak of just playing her.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And with us today, we also have Stefan and David, who've been going up against your ELsha deck. And I've also been playing a tiny bit of ELsha, and I've also played against your ELsha build. So this is going to be an interesting talk to see what process you have discovered about her.
So I started out when building Elsa as a pure storm deck, but I found that Elsa costs 5, and that's a lot. And just relying solely on the commander was kind of unreliable. So over time, I've changed it to more of a stax build or mid-range build by slotting in cards like Back to Basics and Blood Moon, which I think attack the format pretty well in the current states.
I especially considering the meta we are playing in, I think the more stacks and control decks seem to do better.
Yeah, it feels like basically most of the decks that do well right now are some form of stacks mid-range deck. So
well, games are getting longer and longer, actually. And one thing I've discovered is that people are often dying by combat damage before someone is comboing off. So 3 players might kill 1 player, and then later there's a combo. Where the old school traditional cEDH, the first thing that happened was a combo win. But that's kind of changed. So I feel like commanders like ELsha that are so important for the deck, if that commander never sees the daylight, the deck struggles.
Yeah, they need a second way of winning.
Yeah. And also the thing you said about combat is really bad for ELsha as well, because you want to reduce the number of creatures you play as much as possible. So you're quite prone to just get beaten down to death like every other game.
So how that actually leads to you're weak against, you kind of want to have some board wipes in that deck then, I guess?
Yeah.
So how many board wipes are you currently running?
Counting Cyclonic Rift, which is half a board wipe.
Yeah.
Around, I think, 4. Mainly focusing on Pyroclasms. I have Pyroclasm, I have the 3 mana instant one.
Flame Sweep?
Yeah, Flame Sweep, yeah. And Rolling Earthquake currently, and Rolling Earthquake doubles as my win condition in the simplest win. And that's usually enough, but cards like, or when I make decks like Blood Pod or things that play huge creature, your Sisay deck as well. Mm-hmm. Sometimes they just can't wipe the board and just die, and that's a problem.
Yeah.
Cards like Pyroclasm has got a bit weaker the last few months because people are playing like bigger creatures, so they don't actually die from 2 damage.
I'm not sure that I agree. In our local meta, that's true. But
Yeah, in the
playing,
local meta,
yeah, but playing like Discord and the global meta, it's pyroclasms are really strong.
Yeah. But I think just because we're playing in a pretty closed-off meta, and the pyroclasm has become such a played card.
Yeah.
Other people are playing more 3 toughness creatures because of it.
Yeah.
I actually think still that Pyroclasm hits some of the crucial targets, like it's gonna kill Tymna, it's gonna kill Sisay in some general, it's gonna kill Nigella, it's gonna kill Bloom Tender, Dark Confidant.
Oh yeah, it wipes dorks.
Yeah, it
So
kills
in general,
most
it's a very good
things.
card.
But sure, there's a lot
and
of stuff it doesn't kill.
Like
Yeah.
A lot of decks are so reliant on the mana dorks that having even a 2 damage board wipe can be crucial in some turns.
Yeah, it's a good point because board wiping usually kills off their plan to win, but it doesn't stop them from killing me with the big thing that doesn't die. And
Yeah, that's true.
And that's the biggest problem currently for me.
Does
So
it
I'm
feel
thinking
like,
of, yeah.
Is there a spot when you have too much board wipes? Like, what would be overkill? If, for example, putting too many cards, like answers, like board wipes in your deck is gonna destroy your main win con.
Yeah.
Do you think like...
I actually have Flame Sweep is in a kind of contention spot right now because it's not always in the deck because it's hard to storm when you hit the 3 mana spell off the top. That doesn't further your game plan at all. So I'm actually thinking about cutting it, but at the same time, I actually need a lot of board wipes to survive in our meta, so I'm not sure yet. One answer might be to just increase the number of big wipes, so like changing Flame Sweep to like Earthquake or something like Wrath of God, but then it's hard to keep Elsha alive as well.
Yeah, I think you want to have the low 2 to 3 damage board wipes so Elsha survives.
Yeah,
there is this 3 damage board wipe.
Yeah, Anger of the Gods, I think.
Yeah, you can have Anger of the Gods. Because you can stack your prowess trigger, so Elsha survives.
Yeah, I thought about it, but I haven't tried it yet.
You also have Sweltering Suns. It's got cycling free. So if you're going up against a non-creature game, you could cycle it away, I guess.
Yeah, but you can't just cycle it off the top.
No, that's true.
However, I think the exile part of Anger of the Gods can be pretty important.
Yeah, and that's why I've considered it, but I haven't tried it yet.
That's
the coincidental card draw that you can get from Sweltering Sun is, in my eyes, less good than the exile effect that you can get from Anger of the Gods.
I think I agree with that.
How about Volcanic Offering? It's a 3 mana instant speed, can't be countered, and I actually think that's crucial because sometimes you really need that board wipe to resolve, and if it does, you're gonna take over the game. But if it sees a counterspell, then you know what's gonna happen. You're gonna get swarmed again. So do you think Volcanic Offering is actually viable just because of the fact that it can't be stopped?
It is viable, but the double red kind of hurts because red is one of the least played colors in the deck. And red is the most... I would say red is the most supporting color, at least in my deck.
Okay.
Blood Moon makes it easier, of course, but generally double red can get hard to get like consistently.
So what are your color structure? Like, what did you focus? Your 3-color deck, red is your support. What's white and blue?
Yeah, blue is the main color, like clearly, and white and red have around the same, are around the same in representation.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like 70% blue and 30% red white. So blue is my main color. Red and white are mostly for interaction, like Dovin's Veto, Red Elemental Blast, Pyroblast, Blood Moons, Pyroclasms.
Swords to Plowshare.
White offers
Swords,
White offer a lot of interaction in different ways. Like Rest in Peace.
Yeah.
That you can't get in either red or blue.
Yeah, and then I get
true.
cards like Smothering Tithe and Enlightened Tutor as well, which is nice.
Yeah, Enlightened Tutor just tutors up your combo piece and puts on the top.
Yeah, and then I can play it off the top, which is really
Yeah.
nice.
So let's actually talk a little bit about your combo pieces and your game plan. So Elsha is how Elsha's combo win con is a bit open in my belief. Like you can build Elsha in a lot of different ways. Do you agree on this? Or have you discovered like there's a one path, or there's two paths, or there's many paths with Elsha?
There's quite a lot of paths. The main path will always be top, in my opinion, because top
yeah.
is such a good card and it's really good with Elsha.
Yeah.
And top plus a card like Ethereum Sculptor or Helm of Awakening makes you draw your deck, which is quite good.
Yeah, that's usually winning the game.
Yeah, usually. And then there's cards like this card is not that much run, I don't think. I think you ran it in your Elsha build, but Jesky
Right.
Ascendancy is quite unique because it's a really good storm engine, as well as being an outlet for both reducing the top with if you run Karn, because he makes your artifact a creature and then it untaps when you play top from top, as well as giving you access to cards like, what's the name? Retraction Helix, where you can go infinite and draw or loot your deck, as well as an outlet if you run Dramatic Scepter.
Yeah.
And
I have to actually agree on the Jeskai Ascendancy. That card were better than I thought it would be.
it looks
Basically,
like
it puts untap plus prowess on all your creatures, as well as looting every time it casts a non-creature.
I would say that the looting is what's making it so incredibly strong. The fact that
the first one is just gravy on the stake.
Yeah. But the thing that suddenly every land on top of your deck, you can just loot them away. So your consistency of storming off is so huge with that card.
Yeah. And then it has some cute interactions as well, which is it's also just gravy, like the untapping a Retraction Helix creature or alting Tesseret the Seeker and then having a Paradox Engine, kind of.
Yeah, that's true. That's almost a semi-Paradox Engine.
Yeah.
But I also like the fact that you can actually win the game with that card, making Elsha really big, smashing heavily, and killing one player, and usually that actually does half the job.
Yeah.
If you're already ahead, killing out the second strongest player usually puts you in such a winning position that the other two people can't handle you with just two.
Yeah, and especially consider Elsha could be built as a stax deck filled with Back to Basics, Rest in Peace, Blood Moon, and if you storm off, put all those stax pieces into play, kill one player, then the person who's like the third strongest, he's gonna suffer from all the stacks and he can't win, and then you just slowly kill them, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, and considering you can run cards like Narset, and I'm pretty sure you're running a couple of wheels as well. Like
I did
passing
do it,
the turn and emptying everyone's hand is, like losing from that position is pretty hard.
Yeah, but on the wheels thing, I'm not sure you should run all the wheels in Elsha, because Elsha gives you the value from the top, so refilling everyone's hands can be kind of bad. It's not really bad, but I'm not sure if it's worth it overall.
I agree there. Actually, I think sometimes wheels are kind of overused. That sometimes it actually hurts more to use the wheel than it actually does good. If you don't have an outlet or like Narset or something, then it might just help people because they fill their hand and they're good to go.
I have to agree with Stefan and Pontus. I think wheels are extremely good if you know the timing for them. Like turn one wheel, that's great. I don't have anything better to do. Let's just wheel and hope I draw a new good hand. That could sometimes actually lose the game as you pass turn to someone who just got an amazing hand.
Yeah, well, how many times have we had a turn one or turn two wheels and the people other on the table get mana screwed because of it?
I think I've lost 3 games to that.
Yeah, it happens more often than you think.
But the thing is that the chance of you getting a turn one wheel by filling your decks with wheel isn't that huge. It happens when it happens, and wow, amazing. But building a deck focused at turn one wheel is tricky. And then you have a bunch of wheels in your deck that you suddenly shouldn't use in various other situations.
No, after your turn one wheel, you don't really want to wheel again. You want to empty your hand and then So in general, yeah, I think wheels should be played less or in more focused decks. Because right now it feels like everyone is running a couple of wheels when they really don't need to.
I don't. How many wheels do I usually play? I don't play that many wheels in general anymore, because if I can rely on really good card draw for my deck in general, I don't really need the wheels. Because Wheel of Fortune, draw seven cards by 3 mana is amazing. But if my deck is really good at just doing it on its own, then I don't need a wheel, kinda.
I think wheels are better in Storm decks when you need to fill out your hand with new cards and you can use your graveyard for it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's kind of why I don't use wheels in ELsha, because instead of just wheeling, I can play Yeski Ascendancy. That's actually the straight up swap I did, because Yeski Ascendancy makes the storm off from the top instead of just wheeling and refilling everyone else's hands as well.
I want to talk a little bit more about like ELsha and playing without ELsha, because I truly believe that if your deck is really focused at your commander, and if you need your commander to win the game and get a good game, then I think your deck has a weak spot. So,
it does. It is a weak spot. If you can't keep ELsha, I'm not sure if it's the only way, but the only really good way is basically to never play her, or play her when you have a lot of mana, and go for the Dramatic Scepter combo instead, so you can cast ELsha even though she's cost a lot. But that's not optimal.
but you want to cast your ELsha somewhere down the line to
Yeah.
just fuel more gas, I think.
Yeah, almost every combo is reliant on having ELsha at the end, at least.
Yeah, and she needs the card draw engine for the deck, right? Or some form of it.
She's the main card draw engine, but I do run, like, you have other draw and you have tutors and you have things, so you don't need her. It's just
Okay.
It's a lot better with her. It's like running at 40% without her, if even that.
So how much when you're building your ELsha deck, how much stuff do you think you need to have in it to be able to play without her? So let's say ELsha will never see the daylight, and you want to build a deck that is able to get somewhere going anyway.
I already run some of the win cons, but I'm not sure that it's actually worth it to run cards like, let's say you run Past in Flames or something like that to storm off manually without the ELsha. I'm not sure it's worth it, actually, because it's kind of like the Gitrog problem, because Gitrog is the real engine of the deck, and you focus on having him a lot more. I think Gitrog is a better commander at doing that than ELsha, but I think it's kind of the same concept, where instead of trying to play without it, you just try to make sure that you have it as much as possible.
I'm thinking, what cards do you think Narset Parter Veils? That's a card drawing effect, and it's some interaction. What other cards? And she helps out when you don't have your ELsha, in a way, as she's drawing cards. Well, except it's gonna be tricky for you to defend her. But what other cards like that would you want to have in your deck to make sure you get a good game when ELsha is getting killed all the time?
I actually don't run a lot of them.
Okay.
It's like Narset's value engine, Mystic Remore is a value engine. Jeske Sandus is a lot worse without ELsha.
Heuristic Study.
Heuristic Study.
Yeah.
I thought about putting in Insights, but I'm not sure if it's worth it. It might be worth it in our meta, but I'm not sure in other cases. But except for that, I'm not actually running that many value engines.
You're playing a lot of instants and sorceries, right?
Yeah.
Your main focus color were blue.
Yeah.
What is the name of that very new, super expensive legendary artifact for like triple blue, costs 1 less for each?
The Magic Mirror.
Yeah, the Magic Mirror.
I'm not sure what that does.
Let's see, it's 6 colorless, 3 blue. This spell costs 1 less to cast for each instant or sorcery in your graveyard. You have no maximum hand size. At the beginning of your upkeep, with a knowledge counter of Magic Mirror, then draw a card for each knowledge counter on Magic Mirror.
So that's a mega super value greedy engine.
Yeah, and I actually think
super greedy.
I think it's too good to actually be able to keep up, to be honest. Because if I land that, like, who wouldn't destroy it? First thing they could do.
Yeah, but that's the thing with everything. I mean,
Yeah.
I want to
And
kill
that-
Bloom Tender first. The moment I
Yeah.
see a Bloom Tender, I've got to kill that creature. The moment I
Yeah,
see a
but-
Dark Confidant, I have to kill Dark Confidant.
But you're
I
not
see
going
this in
to
a
Assassin's
different way.
Trophy a Bloom Tender or a Dark Confidant, but you will Assassin's
No.
Trophy the Magic Mirror.
That is true. That I will agree on.
I kind of disagree on this because the
Okay.
magic mirror takes, let's see, the first turn you draw, well, the first upkeep you draw 1 card, the second time you draw 2 cards, then 3 cards, and like drawing, well, 6 cards on the 3 turns doesn't really seem to be that much of an issue. After that point, it starts becoming more of a problem. I like the value you get the first 3 turns is not like justifying me to go, oh my god, I need to build this now.
But it's also like it's kind of like a rough condition to have 6 instants of sorceries in the graveyard before you can actually play it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Go pretty far before you actually.
You have to build around it quite heavily.
Like with if you build around a time walking team and a magic mirror, I suppose it's a lot better.
Yeah.
But the card in say I don't think it's viable to play in ELsha just because it's too slow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You
Might
can't
be
get
true.
it out in the early game, and if you can, you will probably have to spend all your resources on it. And if that becomes countered, then you're pretty much screwed.
Yeah, this is pretty much people with mana drain are gonna love to counterspell this. What is it? 9
Yeah.
mana, right?
Yeah,
like-
it's 9
yes.
mana. Yeah, it's basically mana drains you win the game.
Oh yeah. That's 2 Thrasius activations. And 1
Well,
mana
yeah,
left.
and if you like with 9 mana in the early game, you can either empty your entire hand, or you can probably combo.
This wouldn't enter early game though. It would enter somewhere turn 6-7.
Yeah, but if you enter it turn 6-7,
And
then it's
yeah,
already too slow to be viable.
Yeah, that's also true. Yeah, you want to have something that kicks in a little bit faster.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like the blue enchantment, Verity's Circle.
Yeah.
It'd be like
Uh,
some special card draw, and you can also use it to protect yourself. Actually, someone is
Yeah, that's actually a good choice. I haven't really thought about it, but that would slot in quite good, I think.
What's the mana to actually tap a creature for that? That's
5, 4 in the blue.
But that's
I'm pretty sure.
If
It's quite steep, but if that makes you're not going to die, that's worth it.
Yeah, and you
Yeah.
actually draw it also, so it's
Yeah.
1 mana to make someone not hit you, and you draw a card.
Doesn't it shut down mana dorks as well?
Not shut down, but I draw cards when they activate.
Well, yeah,
it's like
you don't want to feed someone
it's very
every time you
similar
tap
to
something for
the
mana.
it's very similar to the random apara dinosaur, the green 2/5 that draws a card whenever you activate a creature. That isn't a mana ability, but this
That's not one ability, but yeah, it's quite similar. But this doesn't hit fetch lands. The only problem with that is that one of the main reasons to run ELsha is to run Curse Totem, and I tutor Curse Totem quite actively, so I'm not sure if they would clash when I think about it, but I'm not sure.
But I mean,
But Curse Totem pretty much always draws hate, so having an
Yeah,
attack
yeah.
for it
yeah.
is not bad.
I gotta say something about Curse Totem. I'm not afraid of Curse Totem. If I'm playing, let's say, Sisay, I will just kill you. I will just
I know.
attack you until you're dead. I
I know.
usually
I've experienced this.
yeah. But if you
If the Curse Totem hits early before you get your first activations, then yeah, that becomes a problem with like it's the same effect as Linvala, and like
No,
it's pretty
no.
hard to play versus it.
No, it's actually not the same. You see, decks that actually play Linvala usually have creatures and blockers themselves, and Linvala is a 3/4 flyer. That's Sisay can't attack into that. He usually dies. But
Yeah, well,
Sisay
fair
being a 3/3, my dorks, I can just sit there and smash Elsha's face, and
Yeah, because Elsa can't defend herself or
No.
himself.
I think it's her.
I think it's a her too.
I just
sure.
don't want to be judgy.
It's a
Give me an
genius.
attack helicopter for all I care.
I don't know. I think you should play Curse Totem definitely, but
Yeah, you should play it, but it's not the answer to everything, but it's a good hate piece.
yeah. But I think you could play both too.
Yeah, I think it's worth it, but I have to think
Yeah,
it out.
like getting into creatures. Right now, you're not running a lot of creatures.
At the moment, I'm running 3 creatures.
Yeah.
Let's actually talk a little bit about that, because you played Proteus Staff before, and
Yeah.
now you switched away from Proteus Staff. So would you actually like to a little bit explain for people how Proteus Staff is a thing for Elsha?
Okay, so Proteus Staff puts a creature at the bottom of the library, and then reveals until it's a creature from the library, and lets you put the revealed cards back in any order. So if you run no creatures in your deck, or just one, you can put the creature in at the bottom, and then reveal every card and stack them. So in Elsha, you can run no creatures, put Elsha in the bottom, then stack your library, getting back Elsha. And since Elsha can cast cards from the top of the library, you basically win from that.
You fill your top with all your combo pieces, and you can.
Yeah. You just on the top you put silence or a card draw, a counterspell, and then silence, and then just win.
Yeah.
So
what's the pros and cons about this combo?
Yeah. So the pros is that it's a 1-card combo with Elsha. It's 1 card plus Elsha, you win the game basically, and it's an artifact, so it's really easy to tutor for in Jeskai. The cons are that you can't have any creatures, and the no creatures thing is kind of twofold, because you lose out on some really explosive creatures like Dockside Extortionist, and you also can't really block Tymna at all. So that's kind of the con, and it's also 6 mana to play and activate, and it's only sorcery speed.
And you have to have your commander in play, right?
Yeah, you have to. You can stack it with like a swan token if something is swan songed.
Oh, that's clever.
But you need your commander to crack the pile. And the other con with Proteus Staff is that every interaction hits it. I think every interaction, because they can counter your Proteus Staff and they can remove Elsha in response to activating staff. Yeah. And both of those interactions make it fizzle, which is kind of bad. But
yeah, if you see the Proteus Staff resolving, then a lot of people will know something is coming up.
Yeah.
Because there's 2 expensive pieces, both Elsa and the Proteus Staff are like pretty costly, both of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the advantages is that it's really easy to tutor for, and
it's very consistent.
It's really consistent. And also, one thing that people really like to do is kill the Drake to steal your Elsha. And Proteus Staff still wins if they do that, because you put Elsha back in the bottom of your library and then you just go off.
Oh,
so people have a tendency to feel safe when they steal Elsha, but then you just go for it and win. Anyways.
That's actually a good counter tech.
Yeah.
But when you choose to actually have creatures in your deck, because now you have you've started to include like Ethereum Sculptor, Dockside Extortionist, and Grand Arbiter Augustine the Fourth, I think his name is.
Yeah.
GAA.
So, yeah. What was your why did you do that? Why did you reach that decision?
I really like Dockside, and I wanted to play him, is the short answer. But the long answer is that the long answer is I wanted to run Jeskai Ascendancy, which I didn't for a while. And when I went through it, I thought if I add Jeskai Ascendancy, I get another reducer for top. So the top plus reducer line is more consistent. It's a 2-card combo reducer, but it's still a reducer with Karn. And I'm also able to run Retraction Helix as win con. So in that case, I get more redundancy for winning the game. So I thought I can try to add some creatures, add Retraction Helix as a win con, and see if I can just see how it works. See if I need Proteus Staff, because Proteus Staff does cost a lot of mana, and it is kind of clunky. I just wanted to see if they streamlined it. And both Grand Arbiter and Dockside is really good at making Elsha more affordable. Because with Grand Abolisher, you play him at 4, and then next turn you have 5 mana, probably, and Elsha costs 3, so you can cast her and Starstorm off the same turn. And that's quite good.
And 2 is generally the mana you need to cast a counterspell. So you can cast Elsha for free, have 2 mana available for your mana drain.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that.
And it makes people's spells cost more, which is nice.
Yeah, he's actually quite good versus Storm decks.
Yeah. So
Playing against stacks, well, because we're talking about Grand Arbiter. Does Elsa struggle a lot playing against the stacked pieces? Like cost increasing pieces in general?
yeah, all of her win cons are disabled by
You're
additional
talking
costs.
about Talia, I presume.
Yeah,
the one
Yeah,
that-
Thalia.
Yeah.
Or Thorn of Amethyst.
Yeah, and even cards like Mystic Remora stop me from going off completely. So
Yeah.
they are annoying, and I can't win through them. But usually there's just 1 or 2 pieces out, and then I can just slow play it until I can deal with them.
But if there's, let's say there's one Thalia, you have
Yeah.
one Helm of Awakening, you have one Ethereum Sculptor. Sensei top should cost 0 by now, plus minus -1 total.
Yeah. So yeah, that works. It didn't work before because I just ran one reducer, but it works now. But then there's so yes, I can deal with it, but I still need to slope it a bit usually.
There's a lot of pieces that needs to fall on the board before.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
So they're really annoying. But the more usual cards are like Oof or Collector's Oof,
Oh yeah.
rather, and that's really bad for this deck.
Kataki, I think.
I've been thinking.
Kataki hurts me when I establish my board state, but after that, I don't really like. I can't establish with Kataki in play, but if you hit the Kataki after I'm already established, it's not as big of a hit.
I'm actually gonna reveal a secret soon about Kataki because I'm playing against you quite a lot, but I'm actually thinking about cutting Kataki. But we're gonna reach that decision making from me in a later part of this video. I want to ask you another question. Like, there's a lot of creatures I think would be quite interesting for Elsha, besides Ethereum Sculptor and Dockside Extortionist. What do you think about Metal Worker? 3 mana cost, artifact 1/2, taps, reveal artifacts from your hand, and you get a tremendous high amount of colorless mana.
Yeah, 2 for every artifact revealed, right?
Yeah, 2 for every artifact revealed.
Yeah. I'm not sure. It can be really good, but in the end game or at the later stages of the game, I usually don't have artifacts in hand at all. They're all on the board. So it's really good early game, but late game it's at most 2, maybe 4 mana. So
and even then, is the colorless mana? I don't really feel that the colorless mana is so important for you because you have so much color restriction in your deck.
Yeah, usually the colors that's in the way. The colorless mana usually, it's good, but it's not really needed because of the reducers and everything.
Yeah, okay.
And it's quite easy to generate a lot of colorless mana in this deck. So it's good, but I'm not sure if it's good enough. Is the shortest list.
What do you think about what's the name? It's the Goblin. That switches an artifact in your graveyard to play.
Goblin Welder?
Yeah, Welder.
Yeah.
Welder,
I'm not sure I run any real target for it. All of my rocks are just rocks. It's not like I have an artifact I want to cheat into play. So I'm not sure.
Have, let's say you've sacrificed your Lotus Petal.
Yeah.
And you have a Jeskai Ascendancy in play.
Yeah.
You could basically start swapping up and down 2 rocks eventually. So you swap the Lotus Petal with a rock, with a Goblin Welder. Then you activate Goblin Welder again after you've untapped him with Jeskai Ascendancy to swap the rock with another rock. And now you basically have a dork that will become untapped from the Jeskai Ascendancy, creating a semi-Paradox engine.
Yeah,
I see a different upside as well. In the late game, you don't really give a crap about having some of your mana producing rocks after they're already used, and then because you have a lot of artifacts that reduce mana cost, right? Like Manifold Key and Helm of Awakening.
Manifold Key doesn't reduce, but yeah.
A Manifold Key is in some form of way.
Rock. Sorry, is it Cloud?
Cloud Key.
Cloud Key, yeah. So then you could get up your cost reduction spells from the Oh yeah, you can even get Tarim Sculptor as well from your graveyard into play.
Yeah, I see some of the upside, but I'm not sure that the same argument. Basically, I'm not sure that it's worth it to like every time. It's worth it in some specific cases, but I'm not sure if it's worth it in any other case.
Yeah, considering you can't cast it from the top of your library either.
Yeah, and that's kind of why I
Against
run
that,
as
whatever.
few creatures as possible. Like I could probably run a few more, but I like to keep it as trim as possible for the moment.
How many do you want to end at? What's the maximum count, do you think, for Elsha, creature-wise?
Oh, I have no idea. I think like 3 to 5 is fine, but then it gets a bit too much, I think. But I'm not sure. Like I'm not the kind of person who knows that. I just try things.
Yeah, you have to experiment that a lot to figure out the count, actually.
I'm thinking a bit about your interactions that you have. I see that you don't use like Chain of Vapor.
Yeah.
In your deck, I think that could be actually a very flexible and useful card, since it can like pick up cards like Gravedigger's Cage or cards that actually stop you from going off. And
Yeah.
Chain of Vapor is amazing. Yeah.
Yeah, Chain of Vapor is really good, but it was way too usual that I bounce something I need to get rid of, and then I just bounce Elsha as an answer. Or they bounce my back to basics or my Blood Moon. So I basically couldn't use it if I had established myself as a presence. So it's really good, and it's quite good as a ritual as well when I need it. But it can't be removal, and therefore I switched it for Winds of Rebuke, which is a extra win outlet as well.
I think we get back to the point where if you don't have Elsha in play, you have a hard time winning.
Yeah, and that's a problem with Elsha, I think. I'm not sure that you actually can really play around that. I just think you try to play to your outs and play. I actually like the Gitrog comparison because I think it's kind of the same. You just try to keep your commander as much as possible and win with it.
Yeah, Gitrog really struggles if he just gets counterspell all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's no way that deck is getting anywhere without the frog. Almost.
Yeah. Well, then you only have a lot of lands.
Yeah.
Yeah. Actually, this brings us to a very good point, because I want to talk a little bit about my perspective playing against Elsha. You see, I said earlier that I'm thinking about swapping out Kataki, because besides some of Ursa players, you're the only super heavy artifact deck I'm going up against.
Yeah.
And I actually think it's easier to shut you down by just killing Elsha instead.
Yeah.
And I found I'm quite good at that. So it feels like the way I want to tackle Elsha is just killing the commander over and over.
Yeah. I think that's the way to suppress me. I think that's the best way to deal with Elsha. Like especially with this current build I'm running, because I'm pretty reliant on Elsha.
Yeah.
And that's actually why I think that your Sisay deck is kind of a bad matchup for me, even though I run all the hate that you're weak against.
Yeah. Yeah, it's basically this. You have back to basic, you have Blood Moon, and those are annoying. You have what else?
Cursed Totem.
You have not so Cursed Totem, I don't really care. But you do have board wipes. I don't like your board wipes, and that's it. So as long as I can avoid that happening by maybe having a counterspell or being a little bit semi-ready for that, I'm usually fine. And then you just need to keep killing Elsha, and then you're fixed in my world.
Yeah.
And considering I played versus both of you in the same game here the other day, Elsha painted a bigger picture because Elsha is a lot faster establishing on the board.
Yes.
Yeah.
And because she was already on the board so fast, we had to spend resources on killing Elsha over and over.
Yeah.
That's actually.
And then we go back to you die on just creature beatdown.
Yeah. A real key point there was the Domin's veto on Rolling Earthquake.
Yes,
but yes. because I had counter backup, but Dominus Veto is quite good.
Yeah, I love it. It's one of my favorite counter spells these days now, actually.
Negate plus.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
almost personal opinion might place Dovian's Veto higher than Mana Drain. We will see.
I definitely agree with that because
You do?
when
Really?
you need, when you need to counter something and you can't afford it to not resolve, Dominus Veto is so much better.
Yes.
Mana Drain is usually count a 2 mana spell in average, maybe 3 mana.
Mm-hmm.
And that 3 colorless mana, while it's really, really good, it doesn't win you the game in the way Dominus Veto usually saves you from losing the game.
Yeah, that's true. I agree with that. But I also want to say that Dovian's Veto is white and blue, while Mana Drain is blue. And for some decks, that's not really a problem. I mean, 2 blue is easy, but white-blue is easier compared to blue-blue, in my opinion.
You think so? Actually,
I think so. Okay, this is coming from someone that's playing 5-color decks all the time, so
yeah. I mean,
Yeah, it actually depends a lot on your color like balance.
oh yeah,
Because even in 5-color deck, like your Sisay deck is quite white because you want to hit Sisay easily.
it's not that
Well,
white actually. It's more green,
Yeah.
green blue, I would say.
Okay.
Green, blue,
guess
black
you're
is
right.
mostly from what I've seen about
Yeah.
Sisay.
Yeah, it's very little red.
Yeah.
It's a few cards that are white. Mana
Like
Drain
coming
is
from someone
real-
playing Shoe Lane, which is
Yep.
white, blue, green, I also find that it's easier to hit blue, white than hitting blue, blue.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like
Then I'm
my
just
deck doesn't
wrong.
really require blue, blue except from counter spells. So I usually don't fetch lands for it unless
thing
I
is-
know that I have the counter.
The thing is that you and we are creature decks, we're dork decks, and I think in Stefan's perspective and in Pontus' perspective, they aren't playing that many dorks in general, so they aren't playing a focused green deck. But when you're having a bunch of green, then suddenly you want your green fixing, and then it's trickier to actually have your blue, all consistently blue.
You want like savannas, you want tropical islands above getting like blue, blue. You want to get green with almost every fetch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you also have to think about playing around Blood Moon and back to basic.
Yeah.
And
Oh, it's fine. Just play into them. I like that.
So like getting 2 islands would like personally hurt my deck a lot.
Okay. Yeah.
But it's
So
also
yeah, I think like blue white is easier to hit.
But
for
it's
me, at
also
least.
the fact that it's nice to play a little bit around Carpet of Flowers. Don't feed the carpet.
Oh yeah, Carpet of Flowers is that's a good reason as well.
Yeah.
I feel like right now, like back to basic and Blood Moon, really strong.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's because everyone is using greedier and greedier mana bases.
Yeah,
Everyone's on Tainted Pact.
the consultation package is
Yeah.
really prominent right now.
It's not unusual that if I play in Discord and land a back to basics, at least one person will just scoop.
Yeah. Yeah.
That doesn't surprise me. I mean,
noticed that as well. It kills so many. Whenever I have so many extra layers of thought against Blood Moon and back to basic with my Sisay deck. It feels so important to actually be able to survive that.
Yeah.
like if any of them resolves, like even if I'm playing a 3-color deck, I've gone to such a greedy mana base that a lot of the time I even have a struggle handling them. And I was even considering playing back to basic in the first version of Shule. So yeah, I think the mana bases in general become a lot more greedy. That's the thing though, a quick and greedy mana base makes your deck more consistent, but also makes you play into Blood Moon and back to basic.
Yeah.
But I really feel that Elsha is a deck that can truly play Blood Moon and back to basic because you have all your rocks are colorless, and your rocks are what's gonna give you the mana. So you could basically have I think you can honestly build. You shouldn't do this, of course, but you could probably build a Elsha deck filled with wastes, colorless basic lands, and then just rely on only rocks.
It's
Yeah,
probably doable, but it's probably not viable.
No, it's not good. You shouldn't do it. But
Yeah.
I think that deck would actually function mana wise. I think the mana
Yeah.
fixing would work.
But an oof was a problem before.
Oh yeah. Like I said, we're not gonna build an Elsha deck with only wastes. There's probably gonna be one out there that's listening to this go, okay, challenge accepted, but I'm not recommending it.
I have a question about one of your card choices, by the way.
Okay.
Sevinne Reclamation. I've been thinking about this card quite a lot. And how do you think it plays in Elsha?
Sevinne's is okay. But the biggest reason to play Sevinne's is because I play Intuition, and Intuition fetching Sevinne's plus whatever permanent I want that costs 3 or less is a guaranteed tutor for it. So that's the biggest reason I'm running it currently, and it's the only outlet I think in Jeskai for that. Just because of the flashback. So if you give me Sevinne's, I just flash it, I just play it and get back to the permanent. And if you give me something else, like probably Mana Crypt, I can just play the Crypt and then pay for flashback costs with the Crypt and get it back plus something else. So it's really good as an intuition pile, but as a single card, it's okay, but it's nothing special.
Yeah, well, it hits Blood Moon, it hits Back to Basic,
Yeah,
it hits Rest in Peace, Yes, guys, and it's used to hit
Rest in Peace isn't quite good with it because Rest in Peace disables it completely. But it does hit Rest in Peace if Rest in Peace died.
Yeah.
It hits Sensei's top and
Yeah.
Ethereum Sculptor.
Yeah, as well as Dockside, and if you run Proteus Staff, it hits Proteus Staff.
Yeah,
So-
that's what I was thinking. Like it hits basically everything you want to put into play to win with Elsha.
Yeah, it does.
I actually think that card is with Intuition is something to consider for a lot of blue-white decks in general.
Yeah.
I think it's very underplayed.
Yes. Oh, it's very, like Pontus said, it's really expensive. What is it? 3 mana to cast and then 5 mana to flashback, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, like the flashback cost is just gravy.
That's true. That's
3
card
mana.
drawing.
Yeah.
And something really good about the flashback is if you have a counter and let Intuition resolve and put Sevinne's in the graveyard, I can just put both the copies on the same targets. So you need 2 counter spells to hinder me.
Yeah, that's actually true.
Like, sure, it's expensive, but if you're already going off, then it shouldn't really matter.
Yeah.
And even if you don't use it to combo off and you just lift a Blood Moon or a Back to Basic, it's done its job.
Yeah.
It's basically the same mana. 3 mana for a back to basic is just the same. So
Yeah.
Like you're just paying a different cost.
Yeah.
it's always a good card in general. It's like a Ethereum Eternal Witness in white that you can flash back again, I guess.
It doesn't block Timna.
I have to slot this card in now. Like, the more I look at it, the more I'm getting the feeling that I should play it.
But in any case, I think that actually covers it. I think we talked about a lot of stuff here about Elsha. Let's give it a go. Let's finish it with the final part here. So Pontus, power level, where's Elsha at? You don't need to go tier list, but where would you kind of place her? Is it very high, very low, very mid, or what do you think?
1 to 10.
1 to 10. I'm not sure how harsh I should be. I think. Can I say 7.5?
Yeah, 7.5 seems fair. I would say around 7 as well.
Is that a number we're painting in stone? 7.
Like, I don't feel that she's weak,
No,
but she has her weaknesses.
She doesn't even compare to partners, basically. But
No,
partners
no,
is like
nothing
10
does.
or an 11.
Yeah.
really missing black and green.
Yeah, black would be really good with Elsha.
Well, yeah, if she was Sultai instead of Jeskai, she would be bonkers.
Yeah.
I'm gonna leave it with she is good, but she struggles.